Hi, everyone. It's Keely here from the RCMP. We're just waiting for our spokespeople. We'll just be a couple minutes delayed here. While we're waiting, I just ask that everyone mute your cameras. I'm actually going to go ahead and mute everyone.
Also, you're up there, so you can just chat.
There we go. Thank you for your patience. We'll be with you shortly.
Mijn naam is Pagan.
Hi there. We're just asking that everyone just keep your cameras off and mute yourselves for the time being. We'll get started here shortly. Thanks for your patience, everyone. It'll just be another minute or so. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for your patience. We'll get started here in a minute. My name's Keely. I've spoken with many of you, and if I haven't, nice to meet you online here. Shortly, you'll be getting an investigational update from Inspector Ashley St. Germain, and she is the Senior Investigative Officer with Saskatchewan RCMP's Major Crime Branch. Following that, we'll have RCMP spokesperson Patrick Pelchier provide the same information in French. And after that, we'll do a question and answer. We do have a lot of people in here today, so we are going to ask that you start with one question and follow up for agency. Inspector St. Germain will answer those questions, and if you would like those to be repeated in French, please indicate that. To make it clear for everyone that is recording this, I'm going to spotlight either Inspector St. Germain or Patrick Pelchier, speakers, so that they're big on your screen. We ask that everyone else turn off their cameras. Can everyone give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay, all right. I got a message in the text, and I'll answer that just shortly here. Okay, that's great. If at any point we lose audio or anything, by the way, during this, please just raise your hands or put something on the chat. Please keep your microphones muted. I'll unmute you and call on you during the question and answer period. Please just raise your hand and I'll keep an eye on who's asked question in what order to the best of my ability, and I'll give you a go ahead and I'll unmute you, or you can unmute yourself at that time. It just helps keep that audio quality for everyone else involved. Lastly, please be mindful this is an unfolding investigation. We'll be limited in what we can share at this time, and we'd like to thank you all for joining us. I will hand it over to Inspector St. Germain. Thank you.
Keely, do you want me to wait a minute for the person there to fix their audio, or you're good for me to go?
I think let's proceed. I do see some people have their hands up. Are those preemptive questions, or is there some kind of technical issue? Paul? Okay, got you. Okay, thank you. We'll pass it over to Inspector St. Germain. You can go ahead and start.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Inspector Ashley St. Germain, the Senior Investigative Officer of the Saskatchewan RCMP Major Crimes Branch. I'm here to share with you what we know regarding the shooting incident that occurred early this morning on Big Island Lake Cree Nation. This morning at approximately 6 a.m., Pierceland RCMP received a report of a shooting on Big Island Lake Cree Nation. The officers responded immediately. They determined that 3 people were injured by gunshot and 1 person was deceased. At this time, we do not have specifics about the severity of the victim's injuries or how many victims required hospital treatment. We are aware the name of the deceased has been shared on social media. Nonetheless, we cannot share the identity of the deceased at this time due to our responsibility to follow the Privacy Act. The formal identification of the deceased is ongoing in consultation with the Saskatchewan Coroner's Service. We will confirm the identity of the victim as soon as we can. At 8:23 a.m., Saskatchewan RCMP issued a dangerous persons alert to the public in the Big Island Lake Cree Nation and surrounding areas. All day, Saskatchewan RCMP police officers have been actively searching for the 2 suspects. Officers are, as well, investigating the scene and interviewing witnesses to determine whether the shooting is random or targeted. Just before 2 p.m., the Saskatchewan RCMP Major Crimes Unit in Saskatoon arrived at the scene of the shooting, and they are taking carriage of this investigation. As we move through the day, the Saskatchewan RCMP will continue to assess the need to keep the dangerous persons alert active. Some of the things we will be considering are the amount of time that has passed since the shooting being contained to 1 location, and the fact that no additional injured persons have been reported. We will assure the public is kept up to date. In the case that the alert is canceled, please know that we will continue to monitor the situation. If anything changes, we will let the public know about anything that may impact their safety. Saskatchewan RCMP continue to actively search for the 2 suspects. We'd like to ask anyone who has information about the whereabouts of the suspects to please call 911. If you prefer disclosing your tips anonymously, do not hesitate to contact Saskatchewan Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS, which is 8477, or saskcrimestoppers.com. Most of all, our thoughts are with the family and friends of the deceased and all those affected by this tragic incident. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We'll now turn it over to Patrick Pelchier, who will provide the same remarks in French.
Hear me? Okay. Bonjour. Je vous présente les informations suivantes au nom de l'inspectrice Ashley Saint-Germain, officière supérieure responsable du groupe des crimes majeurs de la GRC en Saskatchewan. Je suis ici pour vous faire part de ce que nous savons au sujet de la fusillade qui s'est produite tôt ce matin dans la nation de Big Island Lake. Ce matin, vers 6 heures, la GRC de Pierceland a rendu un appel signalant une fusillade dans la nation Cree de Big Island Lake. Les policiers sont immédiatement intervenus. Ils ont constaté que 3 personnes avaient été blessées par balle et qu'une personne était décédée. À l'heure actuelle, nous ne pouvons pas disposer d'informations précises sur la gravité des blessures des victimes ni sur le nombre de victimes qui ont dû être hospitalisées. Nous savons que le nom de la personne décédée a été divulgué sur les réseaux sociaux. Néanmoins, nous ne pouvons pas divulguer l'identité de la personne décédée pour le moment car nous sommes tenus de respecter la loi sur la protection des renseignements personnels. L'identification officielle de la personne décédée est en cours en consultation avec le service des coronaires de la Saskatchewan. Nous confirmerons l'identité de la victime dès que nous le pourrons. À 8h23, la GRC de la Saskatchewan a émis une alerte au public concernant des personnes dangereuses dans la nation Cree de Big Island Lake et ses environs. Toute la journée, les policiers de la GRC de la Saskatchewan ont activement recherché les 2 suspects. Les policiers enquêtent également sur les lieux de la fusillade et interrogent des témoins de la fusillade afin de déterminer si cette fusillade était aléatoire ou ciblée. Peu avant 14 heures, le groupe des crimes majeurs de la GRC de la Saskatchewan à Saskatoon est arrivé sur les lieux de la fusillade. Ils prennent en charge de l'enquête. Au fil de la journée, la GRC de la Saskatchewan continuera d'évaluer la nécessité de maintenir l'alerte concernant ces personnes dangereuses. Nous tiendrons compte, entre autres, du temps écoulé depuis la fusillade, du fait que celle-ci s'est déroulée dans un seul endroit et qu'aucun autre blessé n'a été signalé. Nous veillerons à tenir le public informé. Si l'alerte est élevée, sachez que nous continuerons à surveiller la situation. Si un changement survient, nous informerons le public de tout élément susceptible d'avoir une incidence sur sa sécurité. La GRC de la sécurité continue de rechercher activement les 2 suspects. Nous demandons à toute personne ayant des informations sur la localisation des suspects d'appeler le 911. Si vous préférez divulguer vos informations de manière anonyme, n'hésitez pas à contacter Saskatchewan Crime Stoppers au 1-800-222-TIPS 8477 ou sur www.saskcrimestoppers.com. Nos pensées vont avant tout aux familles et aux amis des défunts, ainsi qu'à toutes les personnes touchées par ce tragique incident. Merci.
I just ask that you raise your hand and I will try my best to go in order, and just wait till I call on you, unmute your mic and ask your question, mute it again, and we will have the appropriate person answer. Okay, thank you. Okay, first I have Edith from Radio Canada.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. Do we have some detail about the suspect? Do we have suspect in mind? What do we know about the author of this shooting?
So at this point in time, what I can tell you is that the investigation is in its early stages. We released earlier that there were 2 suspects who were traveling on an ATV, and we are continuing to investigate to try to narrow down who our suspects are and where they might be. And that's where it's extremely important for the public to provide any information that they might have to help us determine the direction the investigation is going and identify those suspects.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Kenneth from Battlefords Now.
Hello, thank you for taking my question. I wonder with how close the area is to Alberta border, and there's a possibility the suspect might have fled to that other province. I wonder, have Saskatchewan notified Alberta to see so that they could be aware as well and also set up an alert?
Yes, absolutely. This morning, we did notify the Alberta RCMP of the ongoing incident here in Saskatchewan. That was done basically simultaneous with our dangerous persons alert going out. At this point in time, though, I can't speak to Alberta RCMP's determination on issuing a dangerous persons alert. In that particular case, we would need to be able to provide them with some more information. While this location is very close to the Alberta border, we do not have indication on direction of travel other than they were on the Big Island Lake Cree Nation on an ATV early this morning.
Absolutely. And is there one follow-up question I can ask? Yeah. Do RCMP believe this could be a gang-related matters, even though now it might be too early to say?
Yeah, I can't answer that question. Unfortunately, it is very early in the investigation, and I can't speculate on the potential motivation for this to have occurred.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. Next, we'll go to Ashwarya from CBC.
Thank you. I believe the reserve has had checkpoints for quite some time. There's also around or over 100 cameras, security cameras in the community. Why hasn't the RCMP been able to identify those suspects with all those cameras and catch them 10 hours later in that community, that piece of the area which isn't that big? And if you are sure they're in that area, what are the problems that you're running into? Why aren't you able to catch these guys or at least identify them?
So that is part of our investigation. Any cameras that are in the area that will have any activity captured on them is going to be provided to us, and we will review that to try to determine some of the things to take into consideration. However, with respect to this investigation, is that we don't have indication of how they were dressed. This did occur at nighttime. So we do have to be very cognizant of not rushing the investigation and ensuring that we do have the correct people in custody and identified as being responsible for this investigation. We don't take safety issues lightly, and we are working as quickly as we can while being diligent to that investigational integrity to locate the proper suspects.
Thank you. Just one more follow-up question. Can you confirm that 2 people were injured and transferred to Saskatoon?
At this point in time, I can tell you that there were 3 people injured by gunshot and 1 person deceased. I can't provide information as to where they might be in specific hospitals. Not only could it be a potential safety issue, but it would be against the Privacy Act for me to provide that information.
Thank you. We'll go on to Grace Miller next.
Hi, yes, thank you so much for taking my question.
Grace, you're really hard to hear. I'm not sure if you can fix your mic up here or maybe pop it in the chat.
Sorry, is that better? Hello?
Yep, that's better.
Okay, great. I'm wondering about the recommendation to put nearby medical centers on lockdown. Can you explain that recommendation?
So what I can tell you right now is that recommendation did not come from the RCMP, so I can't really provide much more information beyond that. Generally speaking, as part of our dangerous persons alert, we do provide specific informations. In this case, we did say to find a safe location and lock your doors. However, we do not provide guidance to other agencies on their hold and secure protocols. So
Sorry, I have a note here from SHA saying that it was as per RCMP advice.
okay, so I can't speculate on where they got that from, but I'm going to suggest that it was probably from the alert. We do not provide direct guidance to other agencies on their hold and secure protocols. Those are their protocols to enact based on the measures that they have in place.
Okay. Can I have a follow-up, please? How long do you expect the lockdown to remain in effect?
So at this point in time, as I mentioned, we are actively monitoring the situation with respect to that dangerous persons alert and the ask for people to lock their doors and remain in a safe location. And the things that we're considering with respect to that is the amount of time that's passed since the initial shooting, that the shooting has been contained to one location, and the fact that no additional persons have been reported injured in this case. So we are monitoring that very closely right now, and as soon as the determination has been made to cancel that, we will advise the public. I understand that it's problematic to remain in limbo for the community for an unknown period of time, but we are absolutely doing our best to make sure that we aren't interfering with people's lives, but we are keeping them safe.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we're going to go to Olivia with the Star Phoenix.
Hi there. Thank you for taking my question. Could you please provide more information on the locations and timelines around where and when you found the deceased person compared to where and when you found the injured people? Were they found together or separate? Could you just provide a bit of clarity there?
So at this point in time, we have, we believe that this is contained to one location. In terms of specific times, I cannot be more specific at this point in time, unfortunately. That is part of our investigation. The exact time everything unfolded is what we will be working towards determining, and I don't want to provide incorrect information at this point in time.
Okay, and then could I have one follow-up? Could you confirm, like, were victims shot from moving vehicles, or what was the situation with that? Do you have any information you could provide us?
Yeah, again, there's very limited information that I can provide given the early stages of this investigation. But our information is that the two suspects were on an ATV traveling in an unknown direction around the time of the shooting. Now, whether that was at the exact time of the shooting or right after, that is going to be subject to our investigation. So we do hope to learn those specific details, but I don't have that information to share with you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We'll move on to Tamer Durrani from the Globe and Mail, I believe.
Hi, yes. Thank you so much for taking our questions and answering this. I know it's a very difficult day for you, so I appreciate that you're doing this today. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about the gun in this situation, because it seems, according to the Sask alert here, that there would be a single gun that these two armed men had. It doesn't use the word guns. And so I want to be clear, can you tell us a little bit about that, anything on that, where that information is even coming from? Because you said that it was nighttime, so we don't know what they look like and what they were dressed in. But where is that information coming from then, that they had a gun and that they were on an ATV? Like, what location were we talking about? Where we just want to be clear when we say and when we all report what that looked like, right? So just give us some information on that, please.
Right, so I'll try to make sure I answer your question here with that. So gun was used in the alert. We are aware through the report that was made initially to Pierceland RCMP that a firearm was discharged. We are aware of the nature of the injuries, whether that's one gun or multiple guns. That is part of our investigation, and I don't have that information to share with you at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. I also want to understand the need for keeping the alert and how long that's going to happen. So I know you said that you're not sure, it's an indefinite period at the moment, but what would rise to the occasion where you would then cancel the alert? Like, when would that happen?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I just notified the people in the room that my laptop is about to die, and I don't want that to happen before I just want to get plugged in here before.
That's okay.
that
Yeah.
happens.
I'll repeat it once you get plugged in.
Sure, thank you.
No worries.
I'll let you know as soon as we're there. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's okay. My question is about the alert. I'm hoping to understand when you would rise to the occasion of canceling the alert. Would it be when one of these suspects, both of these suspects are found? Is that when it's going to be canceled? Or like, how long can we sort of expect that to last, I guess is what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, so we're being very mindful of the fact that the alert is ongoing right now. What I can't speculate on is how long it might take for us to be certain about who the suspects are and where they are. So we will be taking into consideration how much time has passed. That may be something that we're looking at canceling this afternoon or later today, and that's going to just be dependent upon the information that's coming in from our investigators. But like I said, I don't want the community to remain in limbo for too long. We just want to make sure that the community is safe, that we're comfortable with removing that alert. And then if we do need to reissue the alert based on information coming in, that we'll do that at that time. So that option is available to us. So I'm hopeful that we'll have some more determined timeframes on that alert here a little later today.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to go to Keenan from CTV.
Hi there. I'd just like to ask about the ATV. Are you able to tell me if it was a standard sort of ATV or a side-by-side? If you have or able to elaborate on that at all?
I don't have that information with me at this point in time. What I can say is the investigation is ongoing. The investigators on scene may have that information right now, but I don't have that to share. If that information is needing to be shared with the public, we will do that once we have it, if we don't have it already. We absolutely are looking to work with our partners and the community to try to forward the investigation as quickly as we can. So I just don't have those specifics right now.
Could you tell me how suspects getting away in an ATV might change an investigation like this as opposed to a standard vehicle?
It's hard to say. Each investigation is so different. So, mode of transportation, they were on an ATV at the time. It was reported they were on an ATV at the time the incident took place. But one thing to keep in mind is that mode of transportation could have changed at any point in time. So we have to be very mindful of, being open to considering other possibilities of transportation.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Chris from Global.
Yeah, Ashley, you talked about the criteria for lifting the lockdown, and from what I'm hearing here, the shooting was at 6 a.m. according to the news release. You're saying it is contained to one scene, so it's sounding like the criteria for lifting the lockdown have been largely met. So what is holding up that process?
So as I mentioned in the information I provided previously, our investigators just arrived at the major crimes investigators arrived just shortly before 2 p.m. We do want to be taking in all of the available information into consideration, and that is one piece that we're not wanting to rush. And so while it occurred around 6 o'clock this morning, we're still on the same day. It's still the early steps of the investigation. And we want to make sure we're taking every piece of information that we have into consideration before we make that decision.
If you're saying that major crime investigators did not arrive until 2 p.m., what was the investigation happening before then? And was this a case of these investigators having to travel from Regina?
So in this particular case, as I mentioned, it was the RCMP Major Crimes Unit out of Saskatoon that has carriage of this investigation. So they were traveling from Saskatoon. That said, we have other agents or other units within the Major Crimes Branch that are assisting with the investigation as well. We have the general duty investigators that are present in Pierceland. And we brought in additional resources to be able to respond appropriately to this particular incident. So while the major crimes investigators arrived just shortly before 2 p.m. this afternoon, they have been on the phone and in communication with the detachment members who were on scene at the get-go the entire time. So traveling into the community, we've been providing guidance and direction to those community detachment members and forwarding the investigation through that means as we're traveling to get to the community.
I'm going to be terribly rude and ask another follow-up because it's directly related to this. It is a 4.25-hour drive from Saskatoon to the nation. So by my math, there was at least a 2-hour delay. What owes into that delay of getting the major crimes investigators there?
So unfortunately, while the call came in around 6 o'clock, our investigators in major crimes aren't called immediately. The members that are at the detachment have to get to the scene. They have to respond. They have to make sure the scene is safe, and they have to get the available information that they have before those calls can be made to Major Crimes Unit so that there's information to provide to them. So while the call came in around 6 o'clock this morning to Pierceland, that's not when the call came in to Major Crimes Unit investigators. The other thing to take into consideration is that, as my understanding is that there is some freezing rain in the area. We do want to make sure that our investigators are able to get there safely, just like anybody else using the highway. And it's important that they get there and are able to do their job safely.
Thank you. We'll move on to Charlotte.
Yeah, I have a quick question in French.
Go ahead, Charlotte, and we'll have Patrick translate for Inspector Saint Germain. She'll provide the answer in English, and then Patrick will answer in French.
Ok. Je me demandais s'il y avait des témoins aussi et combien de signalements il y avait eu à partir du moment où la GRC avait reçu l'appel.
Charlotte, je te demanderais de répéter la question, s'il vous plaît. Tu viens un petit peu sourdiné.
Oui. Je me demandais combien il y avait eu de témoins, s'il y avait eu des témoins sur la scène, combien de signalements vous avez reçus aussi à la GRC.
The question is, ma'am, were there any witnesses on scene, and were those the people that alerted the RCMP? C'était bien ça ta question?
Do you want me to answer?
Oui, c'est ça.
Sorry, I'll just answer here in English very quickly, and then Patrick can answer that for you. So at this point in time, generally, we don't provide information on who called the RCMP and who has made those reports. We will be following up with everybody that was in the area, including any witnesses that were on scene, but I can't share those details of how many people or who was on scene at this point in time.
Alors, Charlotte, présentement, on ne peut pas donner d'informations sur qui a donné les détails ou qui a appelé la GRC ou qui a même téléphoné, mais par contre, on vous tiendra au courant. Merci.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Paul Bryan.
Thanks. Can you hear me? I just wanted to confirm that the incident happened on reserved land, and if you could tell me any specifics of the presumed location.
So at this point in time, the information that I have is that it happened on Big Island, Lake Cree Nation. I don't have the specific location as to where it occurred exactly in the community, but I mean, that information is available. I just don't have it right before me to provide to you.
Okay, and then a follow-up is if you could tell me how many officers are directly involved in the investigation at this time.
So right now we have investigators responding from the Saskatchewan Major Crimes Branch in totality. So it would be Major Crimes Unit Team 1 has carriage of the investigation. We have assistance being provided from Team 2. And we also have assistance being provided from our North Battleford Provincial General Investigation Section, as well as Prince Albert Provincial General Investigation Section. There's also investigators providing support from the Forensic Identification Section for Saskatchewan RCMP. So I can't provide a specific number, but we do have resources supporting from across the RCMP in order to make sure this investigation is done properly.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll go to Riley from the New York Times.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Okay. So you said that you can't say where they were the injured people were hospitalized or anything like that, but can you say if they're expected to make a recovery, if there's any details at all? I know that a gunshot wound can be anything from a graze to, puncturing a major organ. So just trying to see how serious it is.
Yeah, so as you said, any shooting is a serious, being shot at any point could be a serious injury. Right now, though, I do not have the details to share as to the extent of those injuries. They were taken to hospital, and I can't provide the extent. That is part of our investigation, but I can't breach that Privacy Act for medical information for those victims.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to skip ahead here. So I have some people that are asking their second question. I'm going to skip ahead and ask Daniela to go forward, as she has not asked a question yet. In the name of time, we're going to leave it with those that have their hand up. We'll start with Daniela, then I'll move down the list again, and we'll end with Chris. I just want to be mindful of particularly Inspector St. Germain's time. Thank you, and we will ask Daniela to go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I know you touched on this a bit, and I just wanted to ask, once again, you said the shooting happened in one specific location. Can you at least say whether it was at a business, a residence, inside, outside, anything like that?
So my understanding right now is that it was at an outside location, but I cannot provide more details than that at this point in time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll go back to Edith.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the question in English. Can you please have Mr. Pelletier translated, please? So it's going to be easier for everyone. Do we have, to this day, access to the territory of the First Nation, or all entry and exit are completely barred?
So I guess one point to clarify, we, the RCMP, have not put the community itself on lockdown. We issued a dangerous persons alert asking the community to find a safe location and to lock their doors. If there are barricades or anything up outside of the community, that would be done independent of the RCMP. We have not provided that direction, to my awareness, for that community right now.
Alors, merci pour la question. Est-ce que nous avons accès à des réserves et des territoires présentement sur les lieux?
On vous entend en écho énormément. Est-ce qu'il y a moyen d'arranger la situation?
Un moment.
Merci.
Alors, est-ce que c'est mieux?
Là, c'est mieux. Oui, merci.
OK, parfait. La question était, est-ce que nous avons toujours accès aux réserves et ainsi qu'au territoire pour l'instant? Et Madame Saint-Germain a bien expliqué qu'on n'a jamais empêché les gens de rentrer sur les territoires jusqu'à date.
I will have a quick follow-up question. There was a check-in point entry, I think, a couple last month. Was it still in effect when the shooting happened?
I unfortunately don't have that information. I think that's probably something we can look into and provide for you, but
Thank you.
I don't have that.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Ashwarya, please, is next.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you. I just wanted to clarify something you said earlier, Ashley. You mentioned you believe there's no movement of the suspects getting out of the community, that they haven't left. But then you also said that you don't know what they look like. So I'm just a little confused. How do you know they haven't left if you don't know what they look like?
I'll just provide this. If at any point I've said that I don't believe they've left the community, I apologize for that miscommunication. I don't have information about who the suspects are, whether they're in the community or if they have left the community. That is part of our investigation. They may have left the community. I don't recall saying that they were still in the community.
I think it was when the question about them moving to Alberta was asked, and you said we're not aware of any movement outside of the community. So
Then I
is
will
there a
correct
danger? Sorry, is there a danger to other communities, surrounding communities? Are you sure the suspects are still in the community? If not, is there danger to surrounding communities?
So at this point in time, we're working to determine if this is a targeted or random shooting. I do not have information as to who the specific suspects in this investigation are, and as a result of that, I do not know where they are.
Okay, and is there any danger to surrounding communities?
At this point in time, there's been no further incidents. So that is one of the considerations that we're taking in for our dangerous persons alert, and whether that will be canceled here later today or not. I'm not in the community at this point in time, so I can't speak to what's going on there right now. But from our investigation, we don't have any indication that there's further ongoing incidents in relation to this shooting this morning.
Thank you. We're going to go to Tamara from Globe and Mail and then Chris from Global. And I see Grace had her hands up. I did cut it off at Chris, so I'm going to stick to that. So just the final two there, and then we're going to wrap it up. So please go ahead, Tamara.
Thank you. I want to ask you also about, you've talked a little bit about how you don't have the exact numbers of the officers on scene, with major crimes and et cetera. Detachments in and around smaller communities like Big Island Lake are quite limited with their resources. I'm not saying something that's out of the blue, it's just the facts, right? Now that Major Crimes has taken over this file, I wonder if you can describe for us if you feel you have enough resources on the ground to handle such an active case like this.
In terms of our response from Major Crimes branch, this is not an unusual file for us to be managing. And I absolutely believe that we have resourced the investigation properly at this point in time. Should something change, we do have the ability to scale up our resources or scale back our resources as needed. So I don't have any concerns of my investigative team at this point with regards to that.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up, a lot of the reporters today, part of why we're asking a lot of these questions about whether people are safe or not is because the alert is in such a wide region. And I understand why you've done that, right, as a precaution, because obviously we don't know where their whereabouts are, and those are vicinities that they could get to within the period that you've been looking at. But I wonder for those people, it's such a large stretch, about 200 kilometers or so, even more than that when you start actually looking at the map there. And I wonder for these people overnight, after this is over today, when they look at this in the news and then, they put their kids to bed tonight, what are these things that you would want to say for people? Because it seems very unsafe. If you're living in these areas that are being impacted by this, if you're not in Saskatoon or in Edmonton, you might be a little worried, going to bed tonight about whether these people are close to you. So I wonder, what would you sort of say as something to these people, these residents who are in these areas?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as a person who's been living in the area, not on duty as a police officer with an active alert going on, I can say that it is absolutely something that is in the back of your mind. And, you know, what I can say with respect to that is we are working as efficiently and diligently as possible to try to determine who's responsible for this homicide and this shooting, and make sure that we can restore that safe mind concept to the community as best as we can within our abilities. And we're working towards doing that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Chris from Global. That will be our last question for today.
Actually, I don't know if you've heard this before, but I've heard it from the public that when they hear these news conferences, when they're streamed live, that there's a lot of frustration over the number of what some would call non-answers to questions being asked. Can you speak to as to why there is such limited information that you can provide in these news conferences, and as to why maybe we're not hearing from somebody more directly on the ground in the investigative process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll answer your second part of that question first. So we're not having our investigators that are boots on the ground answering these specific questions in this manner because they are busy doing that investigation. So they are knocking on doors, they're talking to witnesses, they're doing their best to gather all of the potential video or phone video surveillance that we can, and work towards forwarding the investigation as quickly as we possibly can, being mindful of the fact that this will have to go to court. And that then segues into the first part of your question. So I'm limited in the information that I can provide on these investigations, especially this early on, because I have to respect that investigational integrity. We want to make sure that we get this right, and we have to be mindful of the court process down the road. We don't want to have tunnel vision as we're going into these investigations, and we need to be open-minded about what may or may not have happened. And that's why we have to be limited in the information that we're providing. If there is, I will add on to that though, if there is specific information that's relating to community safety, we are absolutely going to provide that. That is not something we will hold back.
Thank you. That concludes our availability, everyone. Thank you for joining. If there are follow-up questions or any other things that you'd like to know, please direct them to our normal channels, our Saskatchewan RCMP media mailbox, or our phone number. And as everyone noted, if there are updates to come tonight, we will pass them along. Thank you.
Is there another presser like this that is planned?
Not at this moment. We'll let you
Thank
know if there is. Thanks.